What's going on, Workforce? Brian here, and today we're doing our Summoner Controller Guide. If you're new to this series, this is where we pretty much talk to you guys about how to play this job on a controller and make various recommendations to the layout itself, as well as talk about some of the skills, system settings, various other features, HUD layout, and the like. We try to give you the best opportunity to dive in and play this job on a controller. If you're new to the controller series, we have lots of videos for you to really kind of dive into breaking down all the features. We've got a video for it, so check out our controller guide playlist. It should help out a lot. But before we dive in, I do want to say thank you to our members, everybody over here who has hit that join button and has helped support the channel in some way or another. Whether you're just watching a video or you've actually jumped into the membership role, we thank you. But obviously we want to thank our members more. We're going to thank you guys at the end of the video in detail, so stick around and hopefully it's a little bit of fun. But now let's dive into our controller guide. If you guys have any questions, be sure to sound off in the comments below. I'm going to try to cover everything that you need when getting started with the summoner and the controller, and this guide should work pretty much for any level range, but there might be some adjustments that you make personally. Also, feel free to use this as a starting point and then make it as comfortable as possible for you. The key here being muscle memory, and the key point here being comfort. It should be easy to get to your skills, and it shouldn't take too many steps to do so. But let's go ahead and do this thing. So whether you're on PC or PS4, you can use a controller while playing this game. Now, if you don't have access to a keyboard and mouse on PS4, I'll show you real quick how you can enter in virtual mouse mode. You press down on the left bumper or L1 and then press R3 like as a click, and then all of a sudden your right stick becomes a kind of a virtual mouse cursor, and this is where you can use your left trigger to click and drag different things accordingly. So if you're like, how do I get this bar floating here? We're going to show you, we're going to talk about that. But you can see here, I'm not necessarily skilled. It's not the most convenient. Obviously, a mouse itself works a little bit better, but if you don't have an access to a mouse, do not worry. You can still do everything that we're laying out here. So how this is going to function before we dive into the settings and all the other things that you need to know. Here we're going to talk about our layout. We've got our double cross hotbar over here, in the right cross hotbar over here. We have our main cross hotbar, and then if you hit L and R trigger, you have the expanded cross hotbar. We're going to talk about all these in detail, especially when it comes to the setting. If you're wondering how to turn that on, jump later into this video. That's where we're going to cover it. But I want to show you that because these are all driven off of these pretty much three hotbars here. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. If you don't know how to do what I'm doing right now, you hold down right bumper and then you can press Y, B, or A to jump to any of these, and you can kind of see them designated. You have 8 of these cross hotbars to choose from. Now, as far as skills go and layouts, we have a top hotbar here along with my job-specific UI, my various Aetherflow charges, my Bahamut, and my Aetherflow gauge as it ticks down. You see I have Aether Pact and I have Summit Bahamut. These are 2 of my skills that I have that are actually hidden over here on the expanded cross hotbar. I put these here so I have easy access to them, so I know when they're off of cooldown. These have longer cooldowns, and I want to make sure that I'm very well aware that I can summon Bahamut, and so I have it floating up here on this hotbar 3. We're going to talk about how I place that obviously here just in a minute, but I just want to cover that real quick and first. I use these just as cooldowns. I'm not actively clicking these skills from this menu. I am literally just using this to feed me, the player, more information. Then over here on the cross hotbar 3 right, double cross hotbar, to access you double tap the right trigger to be able to, left trigger to get to it, and then you have access to it. So you see my X postage of intelligence, surecast, physic, and ruin 2, just in case I'm over there and need to press A if I'm moving around or what have you. And then on my left cross hotbar, I have lucid dreaming, I have enkindle, then I have swift cast, and I have addle. So these are just 4 of my skills. You can see lucid dreaming and addle. Those are cross roll skills. I have these because I'm trying to make sure I keep lucid dreaming up so that I never have a problem with MP. Then I have enkindle Bahamut, outburst, Dreadworm Trance, and Death Flare. These are all listed over here. I have these over here on these specific buttons because if you're moving around, pressing A, B, X, or Y, or your X, Y, X, circle, triangle, square buttons, those are very easy accessible when you're using your left stick to move. And so you want to try to keep your instacast things and abilities that you want to have while moving around over there rather than anywhere else. Like if you put anything on your up, down, left, right, those would be more considered hardcast skills. So that way things that you can kind of stand, in. Obviously, there's not a lot of hardcasting that I have to do as a mage. I do have obviously Ruin 3 over here. We'll talk about that in a second. But those are the left side. Now on the right side, I've got Energy Siphon, Bane, Energy Drain, and Pain Flare on the up, down, left, and right. And then I have Fester, Tri-Disaster, Ruin 3, and Ruin 2. Ruin 2 is my instacast, so you can run around and mash on A, so you can keep at least racking up some damage. Ruin 3 when you do need to stand still and cast, obviously unless you're in Dreadworm Trance. There's a lot, and I'll talk about this in another video about my overall thoughts on the state of Summoner, but we'll address that obviously in a future video. And then I have Eggy Assault and Eggy Assault 2 listed over here on the W cross hotbar right, Miasma 3 and Bio 3 listed over here on the right as well. So this gives me a lot of that easy access. So if I do need a Bio 3 and I do need a Miasma 3, I can. That's one of the changes I hope to see them make in the future, but we'll get there someday. And what I do is I have with Eggy Assault here 1 and 2. Since these are charged abilities now in Shadowbringers, I'm able to use them. And whenever I use a ability over here, like if I use Surecast, it is set to automatically return me to the cross hotbar left in this case. And if I used Eggy Assault, it would automatically return me to cross hotbar 3, the hotbar 3 right. So that way I can continue attacking. So I like to weave in an Eggy Assault, a Ruin, an Eggy Assault, and then another Ruin. So that way it kind of flows in. The Eggy Assaults are actually going to feed you stacks of Ruin 4. So it works out really well. So then on my expanded cross hotbar, I've got Summon 3, Summon 2, Summon 1, and these are all instacast now, so I can easily summon with only like a 10-cent cooldown, so I can easily kind of switch in and out of my different summons. I have my Resurrection over here if needed, and I usually can compare that or pair that with Swiftcast, and that's why I have that listed over here as well. I have my Aether Pact. This is a great ability that my pet can use, so he will buff the party, which is really nice. With Devotion, I have Summon Bahamut, and you'll notice that I have Summon Bahamut on the same button press, or it's basically the same combo as Enkindle Bahamut. So I can summon, and then I can enkindle really quickly. And that's kind of how I've got that functioning. Summon and enkindle. And that's kind of that's the logic behind the summon of Bahamut. And then I have Physic over here in case I need a cure. Really easy holding down and being able to kind of put out a little curing if necessary as a summoner. Hopefully not. Hopefully everybody's being taken care of by the healers. But I do have that ability in the back of my pockets. So that is essentially my cross hotbar layout for the W cross hotbar left, right, center, and expanded. Now you'll notice over here on the right and left, you'll see various skills. This is what we call the shared cross hotbar. So you see I've always got sprint in the same place. I've got various mounts. I've got my Aether current, which now that I've unlocked flying, I can go ahead and replace that with another skill or something that I need. Typically we'll figure out that. You'll see it in another video. It'll be fun. And then I have obviously my various targeting macros that I can use kind of for various party stuff. So you can see here I've got a little countdown tool as well. So it really applies to all of my jobs. So now let's go ahead and take a look at my HUD layout. This is where I kind of have everything set up, and you can kind of play around with it as necessary, however you want. I've got my progress bar up here. I've got my parameter bar, so my HP and my MP, my status enfeeblements and enhancements. So yeah, I can see what's debuffing me, what's buffing me. I have my food buffs listed up here. And if you're curious how to get that split out, you just click on the settings icon, and then you can actually have it display as either a single element or split into 3 groups, and you can control the settings accordingly. Now, I've got my trance gauge. I've got that paired with my hotbar 3. I don't need many skills on my hotbar 3 this time. And the reason I use hotbar 3 is that any of the hotbar 2 or 1 are going to have numbers associated with the skills. Could be a little bit confusing. This way it's a little bit more clean. So 3 and up allow me to manage that. You can manage and shape your hotbars any way you want. Just go into the settings of that and you can manage that there. Then I have my left cross hotbar here, my right W cross hotbar, main cross hotbar. And it's all pretty standard. I got my enemy list right here, so that kind of fills up. If you're ever like on a controller, you should check out my getting started, because you can easily switch targets on the controller, just what's based off your enemy list. Really fast and easy to do there. Pretty simple layout. You can pretty much move your target bar, your experience bar, any which way that you want. Like honestly, I'll just even move that up further while I'm in this video. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy to use and do. Now it's really important to talk about how you bring all this together. The UI is fine, you've got your skills set up, but how do you enable the W cross hotbar? How do you like set which hotbar it's to? Because if you try to drag a skill to, let me just like show you, if I try to drag Physic and drop it on here, it's not going to work. That's because this is just kind of like a shortcut link, and it's being managed by another hotbar, in this case hotbar 3. So if I just jump there, you'll see that. So if I move these things around, you'll see how that gets updated in real time right there, because this is what's actually managing it, and this is just a shortcut to it. That's how it kind of works in memory. So you might be like, I'm trying to drag icons on here, it's not working. You have to assign it a hotbar. So let's go ahead and talk about how you do all that right now. Under System and Character Configuration, and then under Hotbar Settings, this is where all this is managed. You can see here I say hide unassigned slots. If I turn that off, you're going to see lots of little UI pop up. We're going to hide that. We can also say display hotbar numbers. You'll see these the different hotbar numbers show up. We're going to keep those hidden just to keep my UI clean and simple. Under the sharing tab, this is where you set what shows up by job and class. So each job and each class has their own memory system. So you can see if it's checked, it means that it's shared. So no matter what job you're on, that hotbar is going to be shared across the board. So you can see my 7 and my 8 are shared. So no matter, this is like where I showed you sprint. This is those cross hotbar settings in which that I changed the job. My limit break is always in the same spot because again, muscle memory is king of the castle at this. Now, anything that's not checked means that it's job or class specific. And as you go and you're not really playing any classes anymore, we'll just stick to the word job. So then we have a couple other settings under cross. I'm in hold. I'm also always displayed the double cross hotbar and return to the cross hotbar after double cross hotbar input. That's where when you saw me use Surecast, that brings me right back here. If this is off, you're going to actually stay over in this zone. It can get a little tricky. I did that as a part of my 2009 Summoner controller guide pre-Stormblood or pre-Shadowbringers, and I'm glad to have this back because I like to have those one-off abilities because I shouldn't be, in my mind, living over into those different zones. Then we have position the W cross hotbar separately from cross hotbar. So if I do that, you can see it kind of jumps up here, which is fine if you want to do it that way. I have mine down here for just a little bit more control, and that's just the personal preference that I have with that. You have to be in hold mode, just letting you know, to have features, all of these with the expanded and all that. You can check out toggle and mix if you're struggling. Just figure out what works best for you. Hold means when you hold it down, it's going to be held. Toggle means you can just press it as a button and it sticks. And then mix is kind of like a blend of that, but you do lose features when playing around. The real meat and potatoes of it all is that the enable expanded controls with LT and RT. And this is where you assign what hotbar it should be at. So you can see when I hold down left trigger and then right trigger, it's using hotbar 2 left. This is a job specific hotbar. However, when I do right trigger then left trigger, you can see it's using cross hotbar 7 right. This is a shared hotbar, meaning this is going to be for all of my jobs. That's where I always have these abilities, mounts, whatever you need access to. Really simple and easy to do. And obviously because this is mostly hidden, that's why I use the hotbar 3 up here at the top to kind of make and enable that. For the expanded cross hotbar, you can see it's enabled with simultaneous left trigger tap and right trigger tap, and that's how that's enabled. And I'm currently only using 4 buttons. If for some reason we get additional skills that they make adjustments, it might be necessary to enable the directional buttons as well. But for now, we can easily get by with the 4 buttons. And here I'm using cross hotbar 3 left and cross hotbar 3 right. And then we saw that listed over in here when I hold down right trigger and go, or right bumper, go in here, and I have access to that. Then there's a couple other settings I want to point out. Like you can say enable customization for when your weapon is sheathed. You can see hotbar 1 and 7 and 8, so my weapon's away. And when my weapon's drawn, I only want it to navigate to hotbar 1. I don't want to show up on 2 or 3. You can use this to your own preference. I found that I can easily get lost during the whole thing. So from here, I want to point out one last thing, and it really deals with your filters. When you're focusing specifically on damage, it's important that, in my mind, when your weapon is drawn, your target filter is going to be prioritizing enemies. You can target your party members on a controller by hitting up and down on the D-pad. That's going to allow you to cycle through your party members list. However, when targeting your enemies, you don't want to end up running into friendly things. So I keep the left and right on the D-pad 100% focus to focusing on enemies. And you can control this with weapon is sheathed and weapon is drawn. So if you're not basically fighting anything, this is what it's going to target. If you are fighting something, this is what it's going to target as well. You can also then enable more filters here by enabling left bumper plus a certain button on the face to basically pull up a custom list of different filters that you can use for targeting. So if you want to only focus in on alliance members, for example, or you only want to focus in on, your friends, for example, they have pre-built options in the drop downs that you can play with, but essentially you can also build out your own custom things of what you want to do and when you want to do it. with that, guys, that is our controller guide for the Summoner. I made some changes. I've been playing around a lot with this, and the changes that I made by moving these abilities over here ended up increasing my DPS by over 2,000 during a Stone Sea Sky parse. Like, it was just unreal, because essentially this allows me to have access to more things a little bit cleaner. Now, I will be talking about my overall opinions of the Summoner coming up in a future video, because there are some adjustments that I want to see them make with the job itself, just because there are some things that kind of feel out of key with the overall pacing and speed of it. Anyway, we'll cover it in another video. For Work to Game, my name is Brian. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns in the comments below. I look for hearing from you, and also we're working on more controller guides to get them out to you guys as soon as possible. We hope this has been a help, and if it has been, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to share this video out with your friends, and if you aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We hope to see you back in future videos. But like I said, this is Work to Game. My name is Brian. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Whoa, you guys are the best! Jorge, Kyle, Philip, 31 Edwards, Rock Druid, Corey Longwood, Aaron, Axis, Hambone, Lady Wild Plays, CN Navs, this is going too fast, Christopher, Phil, Shun, Dragons, Soul, Keen, Knights, Assassin, Carlos, Sherry, Robert, Leyland, Davon, Tim, Jojo World, Terrace, Sora, Scrub Lord, Trevor, Mill, Almond, 70s, Kimber, Tyler, oh my god, I'm so sorry, Cody, Legend, Armin, Carlos, Endless, Jonathan, Jade, Sai, Derek, Brandon, Aaron, Riku, Daryl, Chemistrol, Lauren, The Wolf, the Gar, Kelly, Anthony, Solid, John, Huskree, oh my god, everybody, Dark Later, Christopher, Vestments, John, Nopi, Brian, Tom, Dylan, Silent, whew, I missed your names. I'm sorry. I love you all. Oh my gosh, that was tough.